Welcome in everybody to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and this is BP NFL. It's time to look at Thursday Night Football with my rowdiest friend, the one, the only, Scott Bogman. That's right. We've been having a great time here on the TNF preview, and in a couple weeks, before you know it, we're gonna have the Thanksgiving special. We're gonna have the Black Friday special. People might be trying to step on people and murder people just to get into the show early to get the picks, because that's what Black Friday is all about. I don't think it is. You know, Cyber Monday, I feel like kind of killed it. And now people are actually letting their employees stay at home and see their families on. Like, it got so bad, if you recall, they started doing it like Thanksgiving night at 10 p.m. Like, come on, man.
I hate lines to begin with.
I do too.
So there is just no way I was going to camp in a line for an item. You know what I mean?
No, of course
there are
not.
things I would camp for, not a TV or a PlayStation. No, thank you.
No.
So
Scott Bogman loves one-liners, hates lines. There's a difference between
right.
that.
One-liners are good.
One-liners good.
Squirrel. Yeah,
Lines bad.
Standing online, like you guys say, up there in your neck of the woods, not my favorite thing to do.
All right, let's get to Thursday Night Football because we got a good one here. In division game, we talked about last week on the BP show. I said I was really curious how Washington handled the Pittsburgh Steelers. This will be a real test. Your Steelers took it to them, and they came up short, and now's another test. So maybe Cinderella's starting to lose her slipper here a little bit in Washington. We're going to get down to the breakdown in just a moment. Before we do, don't forget, NFL Podcast Group is still available, so you can make some of your picks really count for some fun, free stuff. Go to bettingpros.com/NFL contest, or just download the Betting Pros app, sync your sportsbooks for free, and join the NFL contest there in the community tab. And again, you can make picks every single week, and we're giving away weekly prizes and monthly prizes, so there's still plenty of time to win cool, free stuff. So let's get after it here. Let's talk about Washington and Philadelphia. This one is going to be in Philly. I don't want to say hyperbolic here, but playoff implications, playoff expectations,
big game.
Playoff atmosphere. This is a big game. This is big stuff here in the middle of November. So 3.5-point favorites. Those are the Eagles. You can get that right now for -105. Washington at +3.5 at -104. 48.5. Some places you can get the hook, like on DK right now, still available. And if you like Washington to win outright on the road at +168. So Boggs, I have kind of struggled here with this one a bit, to be honest with you, because I do feel like this has, as I like to say once in a while, the 4-outcome game written on it. I could see a scenario where the Eagles don't play well. I could see a scenario where the Commanders don't play well. I could see a scenario where everybody plays well or everybody's underwhelming. I don't like those kind of games. I like games where I know that Detroit's going to go kick the crap out of the Tennessee Titans and I can make some money on it. I like when Patrick Mahomes is an underdog because I am running to the window to bet money on it. This is not that game, so I'm pushing more to the props. So from the game perspective, what does it look like to you?
Well, it's funny because normally look, just don't touch the game. Just bet the props guy. This week, I feel better about the game than I do the props a little bit.
Okay.
I'm all over Philly. I'm all over the home team here, and I like the under. And it's because like some of these games that Washington has played, right? Like they let the Steelers hang around and beat them. They beat the Giants, but that was a 5-point game. They needed a Hail Mary to beat the Bears, who have been abysmal. You know, they haven't had a solid win since that win against the Panthers, who we know are pathetic. You know, they lost to the Ravens. Mm-hmm. The Browns they handled, but the Browns have been miserable. They beat a bad Cardinals team. They beat the Bengals while they were in the struggle bus. I don't know if you played that game right now, if Washington would beat the Cincinnati Bengals we saw last Thursday. That game was really tough. That was a tough loss for Cincinnati too. Still, can we talk about that for a second? You go for 2 there at the end.
For which?
For the Bengals.
Oh,
at the end of that game. So here's my argument. It's not the worst decision I've ever seen.
It's not the worst decision. And the way the Bengals season has gone, I think I don't hate it. And I think what Zach Taylor's saying to you there is, look, we got the ball all the way down here again. let's take our shot here because Lamar and this offense, we can't. I think
They
that's more of a
kept
decision about your
scoring.
defense than it is a decision
Yeah.
about anything else. And our
But-
defense can't stop Lamar Jackson. I think that's what
But
he
they
was telling
kept
me.
not converting fourth downs and third downs. And
But you know what? I mean,
Justin Tucker
to be
had
honest,
missed
and
2
I'm not
field
one of these
goals.
people, Boggs, who says the things about they missed the call. They missed 2 blatant calls. I mean, he literally
They
got
did.
slapped in the
They
face
did.
with his face mask, and the hold was one of the most obvious, egregious hold
Yeah.
you could see. So the fact that they didn't call either of them sucks. But also what sucks is the decision-making process when you get Chase one-on-one in the corner there and he's been having the game that's where you're going with the football anyway.
I want to just throw it up. Let him make a play. Yeah, I agree with you.
And if you had thrown it to that side, Boggs, there's a better chance that they probably would have caught that holding penalty.
Yeah, they would have been turning their heads that way for sure. You're right. I still question it because they've been so bad in that game at converting those fourth downs. But back to this game, what we saw from Philly defensively against Dallas, and I know Dak was out and all that, but they look strong. They look very, very strong. So for me, I like the way Philly's defense in particular has looked to getting healthier. On offense, they got Goddard back, Devontae Smith. Looks like he's good to go. Saquon has been nice, and Jalen Hurts is finally starting to look like the guy we saw the last couple years, and not like he did in the beginning of the season. So I just think these teams are kind of at a different position in the season. This could easily flip in this game or moving forward, but right now I'm on Philly at home.
It's funny because last week was such a cakewalk for the Eagles. I kind of feel like that's the worst thing that could have happened to them. And I'll be honest, the biggest value here is to take the plus 168 money line in Washington just to win straight up and just have Philadelphia have that classic Philadelphia moment where it's a game they should win. They're in their own building. They're coming off a huge victory against the Cowboys. And there's just something about that. There was a play written years ago. It's a very funny play. I was in it. It's called the Philadelphia, where anything you want, you can't get. You can get all the alternatives, but you just can't get the thing you want. That's called the state of Philadelphia. And the only way to get out of it is to start asking for the opposite of what you want, and then it's available. That is, and it's a hilarious bit. It's these 2 guys having lunch at this place, and the waitress is over there, and like the guy is stuck in a Philadelphia. The other guy is stuck in a California, so everything's just fine for him all the time. So right? It's always 72 degrees and sunny. It's perfect. I think the value here is just closing your eyes and taking the Commanders and hoping that Jayden Daniels has another one of these miracles in him, because it seems like he's had that. And when you go back and you look at some of these games for the Eagles, and again, I don't love this. Again, this is more my lean than I'm just flipping out super excited about it. But when you go back and you see them beat up on the Bengals, well, the defense stinks, right? They got by the Jaguars, they got by the Giants, they got by the Browns. They barely got by the Saints. They got their butt kicked by the Buccaneers. I don't see this Eagles
I have bigger
team.
questions about the offense for Washington than I do the defense, to be honest.
I think the Commanders defense has played better of late. We can all agree that. But I think at this point, it's just whether or not Jayden Daniels has another one of these like magical moments in him. And if he does, the value is on the plus money side. Everything else, I agree with you. It's a little...
And Brian Robinson's coming back. That could change the whole dynamic of the offense. So
I want to talk about that.
That could be big.
So let's move to Brian Robinson. Before we do, don't forget, everybody, Prop Bet Cheat Sheet is available. Again, go to bettingpros.com. Look for the Prop Bet Cheat Sheet. It's going to give you the best analysis with all the props there, with all the best houses to bet them at, with all the fantasy projections. So it is the perfect place to get ahead of everybody else. Use the Prop Bet Cheat Sheet. As of recording this, we have the news that Brian Robinson's playing, but unfortunately we don't have his props yet. I would set it, in my mind, anywhere from 42.5 to 45.5. Any of those numbers, I'm good with an over. Is that where you would set it in your brain, or what's your threshold too? If I went to 50.5 for Brian Robinson, are you still in the over?
Yeah, I'm not. No.
Okay.
This defensive line for the Eagles is a strength of defense. Even with the secondary playing better, I mean, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean have been very strong. Great draft picks. They have really worked. They've had issues at linebacker, obviously, but this defensive line is still very, very good. So with him coming off an injury, it's a short rest week, short prep week for everybody too. I wouldn't want to go over 50, but anything at around 45 or under, I would definitely go over for B-Rob. I mean, I just think he's a really good running back. So I'd go over that. Annoyed. We talked about this before. annoyed because
Annoyed.
it's not just him. Like, because B-Rob wasn't playing, they didn't put up props for Austin Eckler or Jayden Daniels in terms of rushing yards either. The only rushing props that we had were Saquon and Jalen, which are fine. They're very good. I like taking those ones too.
Well, let's get
runners.
to Saquon. Let's do Saquon here because the number is 18.5 for the over-under. That's the consensus line right now. He has gone over this 2 of the last 3 games, but he was under this number 4 games in a row before week 8. So where are you at in this contest on the short week with Saquon?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm all over this one, going over here. He's gone over this 4 times this season, as you mentioned. Only 14 carries in that blowout win against Dallas, yes, but that was most likely because they play on Thursday and they knew they were going to want to have him out there. And Washington, bad against the run, 28th. The Steelers ran the ball 43 times in the win over Washington last week. They only put up 140 yards, which is why I'm not very big on the Saquon rushing yard prop, which is why I'd rather go on the over on attempts. And also, the 4th highest rate of the opponent having rushing plays against them, 49.4%, 49.9, so almost 50%. There's only 3 teams that are at 50% or higher. They're being rushed at by the opposing offense. So we know that this is the weakness for this defense right now, is stopping the run. Najee ate them up pretty well. Jaylen Warren had him running down at the goal line before he fumbled. But I just think it's also smart. You keep your defense gassed up and on the sideline and ready to go take down Jayden Daniels in that offense that can be very explosive if you run the ball a lot. So I think this is one of those games where they say, we paid Saquon a lot. This is what we paid him for. It's getting late in the season. This is a division rival. They're not good against the run. We're going to give him the ball 25 times and see what he can do to wear out this defense at the end of the game. So for me, I love this over.
Next one you've got on the list here is Jalen Hurts with the interception prop, 0.5 over. Now, I'm surprised about this because since week 4, he has thrown just 1 interception, just 1, and it was last week against Dallas in a blowout game. So talk to me about this one. What are you seeing here that makes you intrigued about the over on the 0.5?
Yeah, in Washington only has 4 picks on the season. So I was hoping a little bit that Marshawn Lattimore is going to make his debut in this game. He's not going to play, but I'm still holding to this because when you dig a little deeper, you go look at the PFF numbers. With pressure, Jalen Hurts ranks 25 of 27 graded QBs. I think it was like Daniel Jones and Bryce Young or something. Like that was the combo that was below him. It was not great. So I think he's getting fairly lucky in these mistakes. Washington has been much, much better at putting pressure on the quarterback. They have the 7th highest blitz rate in the NFL this season at 30%. Hurts has played 5 games between Thursday night and Friday night and thrown 4 interceptions in those games. So if we look a little bit at his history of, with very little rest, I guess maybe one of those games was the game this year on a Friday against Philly. But on these short rest games, he's not having his best games. He's not good under pressure. We know Washington has been putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback this week. So I just think maybe one gets tipped at the line or, something happens and he throws a pick here. And what I really like about this one is that it's plus 135. That's really my favorite part about it, is the juice. And we just see sometimes there's breakdowns on Thursday nights.
All right, let's get to another one here. And it's also a Jalen Hurts prop. It's the longest rush, 13.5. You're also getting plus money on this one. You like this one. Now, for me, I'm more intrigued on the over on the 38.5 rushing yards. And, of course, pairing that with a touchdown. We'll get to that a little later in the show. But he's gone over that 38.5 2 times in the last 2 games. Before that, it had been a long drought. So that's kind of interesting there. But you think there's one big long one here that we're going to find?
Yeah, I mean, and I like these. Look, I was 3-2 last week, and I didn't get my Derrick Henry long. That's one that annoys me because there are so many times where it's Derrick Henry. He's like a tackle, one hand away from ripping off
one stiff arm away.
A huge one, and it just didn't happen in that game. But for this one, he's hit this in 5 games this season, and he has at least 7 rush attempts in every game so far this season. And we know that he's willing to pull it down. We talked about that crazy high blitz rate for the Commanders as well, and the way that they've been putting pressure on the quarterback. If there is a breakdown, I do think he's going to pull it down and run with it. And I think that they, Washington is middling against QBs rushing, right in the middle. I think they're allowing just over 20 something yards. I just think we know he has the wheels to rip a big one. It's a Thursday night. Weird stuff happens. So I'm going to depend on it.
All right, let's move on to the next one on your list. Terry McLaurin, 62.5 receiving yards. Boggs, you going over or under?
Let's go over on this one. He crushed this total in 3 of the last 4 games. He had 5 catches for 113 versus Pittsburgh. He didn't do it against the Giants. His only 2 catches, though, were both for scores. So then against Chicago, 5 for 125. That's a very good pass defense. 6 for 98 against Carolina. And if this game goes as I kind of think it does, and we do see Philly winning, I think Washington is going to be playing from behind late, and they're going to pepper Terry McLaurin with targets, as they should. Quinion Mitchell's been really good, but let's see him go up against this vet. I'm gonna be surprised if we don't see a decent game from Terry McLaurin tomorrow night.
All right, next one here is for Jayden Daniels. Before we get to the passing touchdowns, I want to ask you about the rushing, which again isn't up, but let's theorize for those people who are watching tomorrow as we're recording this the day before. Let's say I set this number at, looking from his game log, let's say 42.5. To me, that would be a pretty good number there. You want over or under that Jayden Daniels number?
I think I'd go under on that. I expect Philly to possess the ball a decent amount with Brian Robinson back as well. And Austin Eckler hasn't looked bad filling in for him. And neither has, McNichol scored a touchdown. Chris Rodriguez has been decent as well. Like, they have enough guys. And with this rib injury as well, they put that vest back on him, and in the middle of the Steelers game, they had it working out and everything. I just think I think that number would come in a little lower. I think it'd come in somewhere around 35, and I think I'd still go under on that as well.
That's interesting. He had since the rib injury against Chicago, 52, then 35 against the Giants, and of course last week only the 5 against the Steelers, but very different defense there. All right, let's get to the passing touchdowns here for Jayden Daniels. 1.5 is the number, Boggs. Over or under?
I'm going to go under. The juice is bad on this one, but honestly, this is looking at these props, I wanted some more rushing props. They just didn't have a lot available. This one, if you don't like the juice because it is bad at -155, under 1.5 touchdowns, passing touchdowns, then pair it with something else. Philly has only allowed 8 passing touchdowns this year, and Jayden Daniels only has 3 games with 2 or more passing touchdowns. When they get down to the goal line, they run the ball. They like to give the ball to Brian Robinson. So for me, I think under 1.5 passing, and plus at the goal line, that dude can run as well. So with him only hitting this 2 times, and I think one of those was against the Bears on the Hail Mary, I don't like it. It's not my
All right. Let's get to the same game parlay for me, Joey P. How about plus 445? You like that? Me too. Let's keep it simple. Jalen Hurts over 38.5 rushing yards. Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown scorer, which is actually not as juicy as I thought it would be, considering how many touchdowns that guy keeps scoring. And then let's take Saquon Barkley over. I know it's a big number, 92.5. I know. Hold my hand. It'll be okay. Over on all of these here, on the Jalen Hurts rushing, on the Saquon Barkley rushing. Just run all day long. And Jalen Hurts to score a touchdown. You put those 3 things together, you get plus 445. And if you're looking to build your own same game parlay, check out the BettingPros Same Game Parlay Builder. You can combine multiple bets with a single NFL game, leveraging insights like correlation, bet recommendations, EV ratings, cover probability, and more. And you could perfect your betting strategy by analyzing the overall correlation grades and projections to stay ahead following the latest SGPs placed by fellow bettors. So start building your winning parlays today at bettingpros.com/parlay. Again, that's bettingpros.com/parlay, or just download the app because that's much easier. That's what all the kids are doing anyway. Again, the sports betting app is Betting Pros. Download it wherever you get your apps. All right, here we go. Touchdown call time. I already said it. Jalen Hurts -110. I'd rather just go hard on this than anything else. If you had one thing to bet in this game, I'd rather put 3 units on this and just go to bed and wake up with money. I think that's the best way to do it. Boggs, your thoughts on this one? Where are you going for your anytime touchdown?
Hey, look, the only reason I didn't put Jalen Hurts on here is because you've picked it 3 weeks in a row, and I thought it would be rude to pick it.
Well, I picked it on Out of Bounds, another show that Bogman and I host with the Welsh on the Fantasy Pros audio only feed. Yes, we have a touchdown call contest, and I picked Jalen. I was behind, mind you. I was
3
sick.
weeks
I missed
in a
a
row
show,
you picked
and I
Hurts.
forgot to put it in there because I was ill. And then I think I missed another one because I had to take my mom to a doctor appointment. And 3 weeks in a row, just calling Jalen Hurts now. So, and it's worked. I've got back into the race. That's all that matters.
Well, I keep whiffing. So the only reason I didn't take that was because I
Just
left
to
it
spite
for
me.
you.
Because you knew it was coming.
I left it for you. We don't want to pick the same guy here. So look, I'm going to go with Jayden Daniels. It's plus 210, and I like that number. I like the juice. Like I said, I don't think that with only 3 games with 2 more passing touchdowns, that we know they like to run the ball. So I think Jayden Daniels could get in there, and you're doubling up your money plus a little extra there. I like that. So
all right,
let's go with the Jayden Daniels anytime touchdown.
Sounds good to me. I like it. I'm excited to see Brian Robinson Jr. back on the field too, because I always think this offense with him is different. It seems to operate at a better level when they have everybody cooking there. So this is a great game. I'm excited about it. You all should be excited about it too. This is the start of a weekend that's got a couple of these games on it, including the Bills and Chiefs. Like there's some feels right now with some of these games. There's some games that stink, not gonna lie, but there's also some
Steelers
games.
and Ravens, man.
Steelers, Ravens. So we've got some big time games here happening that are going to have massive playoff implications. So make sure you stick with us here at Betting Pro. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Ring the bell till it goes ding. Don't ever miss an episode of Betting Pros, whether it's for NFL or NBA. I know Terrell's been rocking the NBA over here too, so check that out. And the Daily Juice with Matt Perrault too, every single day, rocking out bets for you. We are live. Subscribe to the channel. Over 50K already this year. We want to keep going up and up. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Scott Bogman, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Enjoy Thursday night.